First thing we want to get going for our pie is to get the sauce for the pie started. Now, your blackberries are going to have a lot of juice when they cook, but you need to add a little bit of sugar to that and a little bit more liquid. You don't want your pie to be dry. So in my saucepan, I have a half a stick of butter, and I'm going to add 1 cup of water and then 1 cup of sugar. And then I'm just going to put this on the stove top on just a medium heat, and we're just going to heat this until it comes to a simmer, and then we'll shut it. Now we're going to get our crumb topping made. So I've got 1.5 sticks of butter, and this is cold butter right out of the refrigerator. And I'm just going to grate this. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you have, remember that I do like to grate my cold butter when I'm making certain baked goods, so pastries, pie crust, that sort of thing. So you could chop this into little bits, but I find that grating it, you just get a better use of the butter, and you don't have to work it quite as much. So growing up, my mom always made blackberry cobbler. So she never bought blackberries. We had lots of wild blackberry bushes on the property. So she would go out during the early parts of the summer when they were ripe and pick berries. So, and she would pick gallons and gallons of blackberries every year. And then she would just bring them in and give them a good rinse and then bag them up and freeze them. So we've got our butter grated, and to this we're going to add our flour and our sugar. And I want to just go ahead and mix that up together first. So I've got 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I've got 1/3 of a cup of just granulated sugar. I'm going to add there. And then 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. And I did not pack the brown sugar, so it's just loosely packed in there. So I'm just going to mix this up. Get it mixed pretty well together first. Make sure you got all the lumps out of the brown sugar. Okay, and now we're just going to add that to our butter. And then we're just going to work this in. I find just using your hands is the best tool, but if you don't want to do that or don't like to do that, you can use a pastry blender. If you don't have a pastry blender, you can just use a fork. Now, I'm just going to reuse this bowl that we mixed the flour and the sugar in, and I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour and 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And we're just going to mix that in really well here. And then again, set that off to the side. So I just have just a standard pie plate. It is a 9-inch pie plate here. And it's not a deep dish one, so it's just your standard size. And then I've got some rolled pastry. Now you can make your pie pastry. just going to plop that in to our pie plate. Just try to get it as even as you can. And then I'm just going to go ahead and kind of just roll everything to the inside. And we're just going to kind of do a pinch. You could take a fork and just kind of go around and kind of score it like that if you wanted to. I'm just going to do it this way. So one finger here, your other finger here, and your thumb here. Press, push your thumb in just a little bit and press with the other one. Just like so. Now we're just going to pour our blackberries in, and I just have frozen blackberries. But if you have fresh, that would be good too. So, and that is a pound. They are going to cook down some. So I don't want the pie to shrink in. There we go. All right, so that's about 1.5 pounds of blackberries. And now for our sauce that is melted and had a chance to cool. I'm just going to pour that over. So I won't use all of it. And then we're going to take our flour and sugar mixture and we're just going to sprinkle this over the top. This is just going to help to thicken it up a little bit as it bakes. And then for our crumb top, I'm just going to put this over. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure that it goes all the way to the edges. Because we've got a pretty thick top here in the center. But it will cook down some as that butter melts. All right. Now I am going to put this on a sheet tray because I am pretty sure it's going to boil over. So we'll just put this onto a sheet tray, and I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and so I'll be back when it's done. So our pie is out of the oven. I baked it for 55 minutes. That was at 350 degrees. And I've let it set out for about 15 minutes just to cool down. But it was good that I put it on that sheet tray because it did have a little bit of leakage here. So that would have actually wound up in the bottom of my oven to burn off and stink up the house. So it's always good to just put it on a sheet tray, and then you don't have to worry about that. The sheet tray is much easier to clean off. So, all right. So this looks really nice. It has just a nice golden color on top. So we're just going to cut into this. And I put a napkin underneath this because it was still so sticky. I didn't want to get it on the counter. So. And the first piece is always the hardest to get out. There we go. See all those juices in there. All right. And then we cannot have blackberry pie without some vanilla ice cream to go with it. So we'll put a scoop on there like that. And there we have a blackberry pie with a crumble topping instead of the traditional pie shell topping. So a little faster maybe to make, especially if you're making your pie crust from scratch. So this is really, really good. So the blackberries still have quite a bit of tartness to them. And the topping has a little crunch to it. And then, of course, you pair that with a little bit of cool vanilla ice cream. And it's really good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on other great videos. Like it, share it, leave me a comment, and until next time.